need any other person. External affirmations are great, like they boost you, they kind of boost your morale and all that. But what happens when they are not there? You should still be able to push yourself forward. You should still be able to thrive. That's the point. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For my returning subscribers, and for those of you who are new here, thank you so much for tuning in. We do hope you get to join this family. All you need to do is click the subscribe button and voila, you are part of the family. If you haven't watched my video yet, please click the link down below, and it's going to take you straight right to what we talked about last week. Validation is something that is good and something that is bad. Of course, we all know that too much of everything is bad. Too much of everything is bad. And that's what we're talking about today. So for so many years, I struggled with, validation issues. And truth is, sometimes it crops, it creeps back in little, little, little and all that. And by the grace of God, God has been helping me deal with this. Now, what is validation? Validation is, I'm going to just be speaking in plain terms. Basically, I'm going to probably put the dictionary definition for you, or probably I'm going to just put the dictionary definition somewhere here for you to read. But then I'm going to be using my own terms. This is my video, so my way. For me, I see validation as a state of being validated, if that makes sense. It's more of, wanting to be told that what you are doing or who you are or some of your actions, your emotions are valid, are true. Okay, pause. Validation is acceptance. Seeking validation is simply put, seeking acceptance. I don't know if this, perfectly captures what I'm saying, but I think it's good. It's good enough to actually begin this. Now, what is validation for some of you who are still trying to figure out what I'm saying? And I'm going to use myself as an example. You know that if you have been following me for a while now, you know that I love to be very relatable. I love to share my experiences with you in a way that you can relate to and definitely you can learn from. And for so many years, I struggled with validation. I struggled so much with wanting people to validate me. I struggled so much with wanting people to tell me, oh, what you're doing is good. Oh, you do this well, you do that well. Oh, you're so good, you're so nice, you're so kind, and all of that. And while all this is not bad in itself, there's a place to draw the line. Like it comes to a point where you need to draw the line. Why? Because by the time you do not hear these things, what then happens to you? Do you stop doing what you're doing? Do you still perform optimally? Do you still do all those things that you are supposed to be doing? And that is why I said validation can be bad. Too much of it is bad. Too much of seeking validation is bad. Of course, in relationships, in marriages, validation helps to affirm you. It helps to affirm your self-worth, thereby increasing intimacy in a relationship or in a marriage. But like I said, too much of it is bad. So what are the dangers of validation? People pleasing. You begin to see yourself doing things that ordinarily you shouldn't be doing because you want the other person to be happy, because the other person being happy means that that person gets to say something to you or do something for you that makes you feel better about yourself. What other danger of of validation, seeking so much validation from other people, is that you never really know how to say no, because you want people to say you're kind, for example, because you want people to see how good you are. You just constantly say yes. Anything they ask you, you say yes to it. Anything you're asked of, you say yes to it. Why do I say validation is bad? Because it begins to make you accept things that ordinarily you shouldn't accept, things that ordinarily you wouldn't accept, like a relationship that is toxic for you. You keep going back probably to the same person because somehow you just want to hear those words. You make a good wife material, or you make a very good fiance, or you make a very good boyfriend and all that. But the truth is that staying there is not going to get you that. One thing I've learned the hard way is this: sometimes people might never see your worth. So imagine if you're trying to make a pig see the pearls. The Bible says, do not cast your pearls to the swine, because no matter how good those pearls are, the pigs, the swine will never get it. And you need to come to that point where you need to see that people might not just see who you are. And probably you're just seeking validation from the wrong person, and you're never going to get it. And you're going to keep having self esteem issues because this wrong person is not giving you or telling you what you want to hear or what you feel you need. So, what happens? You're in that circle of trying to get it out of that person. But news flash, if they don't see, they do not see. It's not you. You are not the problem. They are probably the problem. And until you begin to see yourself as God sees you, you're going to be stuck in that rut of wanting to hear how good you are or how kind you are. As a Christian, for some of us, sometimes we are in this rut where other people feel that, okay, we are not Christian enough, or we don't dress the part, or we don't look the part, or we don't pray the part. I don't wear trousers then in school, don't do that, don't do that. And for me, for years, I tried to fit in. I'm a rebel naturally. Don't mind me. What I'm trying to say is that normally I'm not one to easily conform. Not because I like to just be stubborn or something, no, but because I try to understand why sometimes this is not in my fate, basically. That's not what I'm saying now, you know. For me, it didn't make any sense. But at some point, you begin to see yourself subconsciously doing some things that maybe you wouldn't do just because you want people to say this is who you are, or this is it for you, or this is that for you. See, it comes to a point where you have to tell yourself, Princess, for me, for example, this is what I tell myself. What matters is who I am. What matters is how God sees me. And I know deep within me that I am a Christian. And I know deep within me that I love my God. I know deep within me that I live and I try as much as possible to live according to his precepts and commandments. So if A doesn't see me as a Christian, in quotes, because of some of my choices, maybe my earrings or whatever it is, as shallow as it may seem, these are very serious issues, then it's their business. Because the truth is that when we begin to try to, make people see how Christian we are, for example, maybe there in certain ways we wouldn't pray or begin to do that. And the painful part is that you begin to actually lose the true meaning. You begin to lose that walk with God, because whatever you're doing, it's more like, is brother Emeka going to do this, or is sister Nancy going to do this? It's no longer, would Jesus Christ do this? Because somehow you feel that those particular people, if they can tell you, this person is a fervent sister in the Lord, it means you're a fervent sister in the Lord. And that is all shades of wrong. I know this because I know that at some point there are certain people in my fellowship that I wanted to acknowledge me. I wanted them to say, you're this, or to see me for who I knew that I was. And that is where we are, most of us, whether it's school fellowships or whatever it is. The only people that know, or the only persons that know whether you're genuine or not, is you and God. And if you know deep down in your heart that you're sincerely serving God in spirit and in truth, then you don't need anybody to tell you. You don't need your pastor to tell you. You don't need your fellowship president to tell you. You don't need all of that. As a firstborn child, sometimes I struggle and ask myself, am I doing enough? Am I the good example for my siblings to follow? And sometimes I feel like I fall short of their expectations. And sometimes I want to hear them say, Princess, you do this well, you do that well, and all that. And this is where it brings us to the point of where validation is actually good in relationships in a healthy way. And sometimes because we don't say some of these things, I begin to feel somehow, I begin to feel less loved. I feel like, okay, I'm not doing enough, and all of that. But the thing is this: sometimes you have to just stand up and look yourself in the mirror, or look yourself in the eye and say to yourself, I am good enough. I am doing my best, and I will continue to do my best. It has to come to a point in your life where you don't need people to tell you your worth. You don't need to tell people to tell you, oh, you are a very good singer, or you're a very good orator, or you're a very good writer. No, sometimes you need to, and it's not pride. It's you affirming yourself. As much as we need affirmation from people, especially people that are in our lives, we also need to come to a point where we can affirm ourselves, because the truth is, Always depending on people to affirm you is a big issue, because you can begin to operate in a place that is far lower than where God has put you. Because if you don't hear their praises or more, it's a problem for you, because you wouldn't be able to function. And how does these issues, let's go back to the very beginning. How does one begin to have these validation issues, maybe constantly seeking acceptance? It could be family background. Probably you came from a family where you are not told you are beautiful. You came from a family where you are not told you are doing well enough, you're good enough. Probably you've been starved. That's just the word. You've been starved of some of these things that parents should do for us children, or we should do for ourselves, for our siblings. And then you grow up into that man wanting to be told how great you are. You grow up into that lady wanting to be told how good you are with what you do. And that is where it stems from. So much validation comes from esteem, self-esteem. How do you see yourself? Because if you don't see yourself as good enough, you always want people to see it for you. And this boils down to something for us. We need to begin to know how God sees us. We need to begin to see ourselves how God sees us. How does the Lord see me? And that is something I'm beginning to live. And since I began to live this truth of what matters is how God sees me, I see that I am more functional. Let me give you a very typical example. Probably I get dressed, I'm looking all pretty, for example, and then my husband doesn't notice. Omo, I can tell myself, Princess, you're beautiful, you're wonderfully, and you're beautifully made. As much as I would love to hear him say those words, my dear, I know who I am. So if he says them or not, it shouldn't dampen my mood, it shouldn't make me feel less of a person. Why am I going over this? I'm going over this because until we begin to see ourselves as God sees us, until we begin to see our true worth, we will continue to accept things that we shouldn't accept. We will continue to be in wrong relationships. We will continue to keep going round and round and round in that circle of 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 people pleasing that drains you, that sucks the life out of you. And the truth is that when you want so much attention, you begin to project yourself as a better person. Let's say you're a group of friends, and somehow you begin to want to be there for maybe one person, and you don't even know when you begin to get in the way of the other person, projecting yourself to be the person that is always more available, that is always there, that is always present. I want you to know that you are worth it, despite your failures, despite your weaknesses, despite your family background or where you come from. You are worth it. You are worth it. And that is why Jesus Christ died. Jesus Christ would not go about wasting his time if we were not worth it. If you are not worth his love, he wouldn't have given up his life, came down from his throne, down to this earth, became man, this flawed man. He took on this image just for you and just for me. When you begin to understand who you are, you begin to have more meaningful relationships. You begin to sift your kind of, not, it's no longer going to be anything goes and everyone goes. And peradventure, you're in a situation where people know that you have an issue, they're going to take advantage of you. What am I trying to say in essence with this video? Know who you are. And who are you? You are who God says you are. And how do you know who God says you are? You know who God says you are by studying the scriptures, by making declarations over your life, by beginning to act on it. Learning how to say no is one of them. I didn't know how to say no until very recently. I began to know that it is okay to say no when I do not have enough. It's okay to want to have me time. People pleasing doesn't help nobody. It doesn't help nobody. It doesn't. It doesn't really. And you know one more thing. Sometimes it's all in your head. You feeling like you're not good enough, you feeling like you're not the perfect example for your siblings or for your wife or for your spouse. It might just be in your head. They might think you're great. They might think you're doing a great job, or probably just because they are not saying it doesn't mean it's true. So I want you to start living holistically. I want you to start believing in you. I want you to be peaceful. I want you to function in fully in the position God has put you in. And I want you to know that as much as we need affirmations from other people, the affirmation that you need to grow, the affirmation that you need for your peace of mind, the affirmation that you need to step into all that God has made you to be would only come from God and from you. Every other thing, every other person is just an added jara. Just jara hatinili, tini, just fisi mezi. That is what it is. And until the next time, do well to subscribe to my channel. If this blessed you in some way, please and please like, comment, and share. Until the next time, God bless you. It's your girl, Princess. Years ago, someone said to me that don't sing, singing is not your ministry, and all that. Imagine if I had listened to him. Imagine if I've heard when God has said, I've given you this voice and I know who I am. You need to come to that point where you know who you are. You need to begin to see yourself as God sees you. Whenever you begin to feel the doubt, whenever you begin to feel like you're not good enough, whenever you begin to feel like you are not worth it, you are not enough, you're not worthy, you are inadequate, ask yourself, who does God say I am?